There's a shocking new update on the Shanquella Robinson case. A Mexican reporter just released never-before-seen photos showing several people dressing and moving Shanquella's body after she was attacked in a hotel room in Mexico. However, despite all these new details coming out, there's still no justice for the Robinson family, and fans are worried someone is trying to cover up this case. But what exactly did the new photos reveal about Shanquella's final moments? And will these photos help the investigation or make the case even more confusing? It's been over 2 months since 25-year-old North Carolina native Shanquella Robinson was found dead in a hotel room in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and yet no arrests have been made to date. The Robinson family recently held a rally for Shanquella in Charlotte, North Carolina to celebrate Shanquella's life, but also to call for justice.
The first thing that young people want to do is pick up a phone and record. And I just wanted to say, family, what was meant to humiliate this young lady turned around and introduced this young lady to the world.
Shanquella's father, Bernard Robinson, also recently appeared on Morning in America and talked about how the family has been torn apart by this tragedy, and he said he wants all 6 people allegedly involved in Shanquella's case extradited to Mexico.
I ain't know nothing about no Mexico, Cabo, and these friends, so-called friends, I want every last one of them over there, not just one.
Now, before we go on to talk about these new photos that were recently released, let's quickly go over some context because this case just keeps getting more confusing by the day. On October 29, 2022, 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson was found dead at a Cabo San Lucas resort where she had arrived the day before with 6 people she thought were her friends. Around 2 p.m. on October 29th, someone from the resort called a doctor from the American Medical Center and informed them that a resident at the resort was not feeling well. Around the same time, one of Shanquella's acquaintances called Shanquella's mother, Salamandra, and told her that Shanquella had alcohol poisoning and that a doctor was on the way to examine her.
And I said, well, what's wrong with it? And he said, alcohol poisoning. I didn't know what alcohol poisoning was, But he said, the doctor is on the way. And I said, well, how you know alcohol poisoning if the doctor haven't arrived yet?
The initial police report stated that the doctor arrived within an hour and found a female in stable condition, but dehydrated, disoriented, verbally unresponsive, unable to communicate, and appearing to be intoxicated. The doctor reportedly told Shanquella's acquaintances that Shanquella should go to the hospital. However, they refused. Shanquella's mother also asked the man who called her why they didn't take Shanquella to the hospital, and he basically made up a story about medical insurance, which means that none of these people actually tried to help Shanquella.
I said, well, why you can't take her to the hospital? Take her to the hospital. And he said, well, they say you have to have cash money. I said, well, she has insurance. And he said, well, she need about $5,000 to be seen in the emergency room.
Meanwhile, Shanquella's condition worsened, and according to the initial police report, she started to have trouble breathing and her pulse dropped. An ambulance was called, but sadly it was too late, and Shanquella Robinson passed away.
They said that she was unresponsive, and the ambulance was trying to resuscitate her. He said he was sorry that Shanquella had passed.
He said it just like that?
Just like that. He wasn't even emotionally upset or nothing about it.
But the behavior of Shanquella's acquaintances is not the only suspicious thing about this case. Charlotte Observer has since obtained Shanquella's autopsy report, which completely contradicts the initial police report. The police report claimed that Shanquella was in stable condition when the doctor arrived at the resort. However, the autopsy report states that Shanquella suffered several injuries to her spine and neck and died within 15 minutes of sustaining them. Besides that, neither the police report nor the death certificate mentions Shanquella having alcohol poisoning, which means the person who called Shanquella's mother lied to her and most likely tried to cover up what happened. Shanquella's acquaintances, known in the press as the Cabo Six, all returned to the U.S. after a few days, and in the meantime, Shanquella's mother received another strange call from an anonymous person telling her that her daughter was involved in a fight prior to her death.
I got a call from somebody, I didn't even know who it was, and they said that they was over there fighting that girl. And that's the way they left it, just like that.
So someone just called you, said that, and then hung up?
And hung up. Say they was over there fighting. I don't know why they keep talking about alcohol poison.
But the Cabo Six kept lying to Shanquella's mom, and they even came to visit her at her home in Charlotte, claiming they never had any problems with Shanquella.
They was crying and say they never had a fight. They even sit here and say they was picking out what they was wearing to the funeral. They sit down here and we was talking about what colors we was gonna wear and what we was gonna do, and they sit here and say, pick out what they was wearing to the funeral.
However, once Shanquella's parents saw the autopsy report, they started putting two and two together. Meanwhile, a video clip leaked online appearing to show Shanquella with no clothes on, being beaten by another woman, while at least two other people are filming and taunting Shanquella to fight back. And then another disturbing video appeared on social media, showing one of Shanquella's so-called friends filming Shanquella while she was asleep in a hammock and saying this.
We got our first dead buddy. Buddy, she too full.
At that point, justice for Shanquella was already trending on Twitter, and everyone expected the police to arrest the Cabo Six. However, that didn't happen, and despite several false reports that appeared on the internet claiming the police arrested Shanquella's acquaintance, Dejanay Jackson, no arrests have been made to this day. And though the FBI in Charlotte has opened the investigation with Mexican authorities, Shanquella's mom has criticized the FBI for the lack of progress, saying enough is not being done by the FBI to put the individuals who attacked Shanquella behind bars. Local news in Cabo also reported that Mexican authorities have issued an extradition and arrest warrant. However, no suspects have been named. And according to Charlotte Observer, it is now up to the U.S. Department of Justice to decide whether the arrest warrant issued by Mexican authorities has merit and whether to extradite a U.S. citizen for a crime committed against another U.S. citizen in a foreign country. But then the American mainstream media pretty much stopped talking about Shanquella, prompting Twitter users to express concern that someone is trying to cover up this case. Well, we now finally have a new update coming from Mexican investigative journalist Geraldo Zuniga. Zuniga recently went live on his YouTube channel to talk about this case, and he revealed new photos of Shanquella seemingly showing that the Cabo Six dressed Shanquella after she lost consciousness and dragged her body to another room. Zuniga said the new photos will be handed over to the Mexican police to help them build a case against the Cabo Six and hopefully give Shanquella's family justice. Now, we all saw the video of Shanquella that surfaced online and the autopsy report showing that Shanquella died within 15 minutes of being injured, which means that if these new photos are authentic, the Cabo Six not only lied to Shanquella's mother about Shanquella having alcohol poisoning, but they all conspired together and tried to cover up what really happened. On top of that, the luxury villa where Shanquella was staying with her acquaintances is reportedly owned by a very rich and powerful person in Mexico with a lot of connections, which could be another reason why it seems like someone is trying to cover up this case. However, fans on social media are now once again demanding that the U.S. extradite the Cabo Six to Mexico, and they're saying that they won't stop talking about Shanquella's case until justice has been served. Cabo Six cover-up is crazy, one fan said. The Mexican investigator on this case released photos from the scene when 911 arrived. She is dressed and in the living room. Not only did they kill her, they moved and dressed the body. And another Twitter user wrote, "It proves the Cabo Six moved her, dressed her, and tried to cover it up. Who took this photo?" It confirmed Shanquella Robinson was beaten to in the master bedroom. Dejanay Jackson could not move Shanquella by herself. One or more people had to help. Whoever helped her and changed any evidence is guilty and should get 6 months to 3 years in prison just for that. They all deserve to rot in prison. This is so evil, and the fact that they're all having each other's backs is disgusting. We hope Shanquella gets the justice she deserves. Let us know what you think about this case in the comments, and we'll see you in our next video.